president of the U.S. Association for Energy Economics. We are the host group this year, and we welcome everyone from wherever you have come from. And there are tremendous numbers of countries and areas that are represented here at the conference. I'm pleased to tell you that we have set an all-time record for an IAEE conference. Something like 575 delegates are here. The majority of the delegates come from outside the United States, well over 300, and this is a great opportunity for U.S. members to meet and learn from our friends from abroad, and maybe for our friends from abroad, to learn from one another and from the Americans and the energy situation here. We have a lot of student representation at these meetings and this meeting, and we have already held 2 programs for the students. We had a PhD session yesterday, which is a traditional item at an IAEE conference, and then last night we tried something new, a student mentoring session, in which we had some 10 or 11 professional people who spoke about their experiences and the lessons they draw from it, and in an attempt to try to help students learn something about the professional world and what they might expect. There's also a poster competition, and you will be treated to some of the winning posters at our luncheons. The ability to see and talk to the students who have produced those posters. We have a case competition. There's a best student paper opportunity, and there are other items students are presenting in our concurrent sessions. So we try to have a robust program for our students, and hopefully we are meeting that. There is in my view, tremendous intellectual content in this meeting. The plenary sessions, starting with the plenary sessions in today's session, and moving through a series of them. In fact, it's in some cases hard to choose between which of 2 plenary sessions one might attend because there is so much being offered. I want to draw attention to a technical workshop that is being offered on Wednesday. It is the nexus between water and energy, being sponsored by the Rice Baker Institute, and they are bringing in some folks from the Department of Energy to speak in depth, quite a bit of depth, about the water-energy nexus, shall we say. And one of the things that they promise to do is identify what they see as research opportunities, data needs, things like that. So for those of you who are interested in finding topics in new areas of research and so on, perhaps there will be some clues. So there are openings for this technical workshop, and I urge you to at least consider coming to it. A lunch will be served within that workshop, so you won't miss your meals if you come. Wednesday, 10 to 1. There's a lot to do in New York. One of the reasons why we are holding the conference here, there are a couple of technical tours, one of the combined heat and power plant here in the hotel, and another one of the NYMEX. If you haven't signed up, there may still be some opportunities. There are wonderful museums in this city, starting with the Museum of Modern Art, but many, many others, and hopefully you will be able to take advantage of some of the opportunities. Of course, in the United States, this is sort of the headquarters of plays and musicals and things like that, whether on Broadway or off Broadway, there's just things to do. And if you are a sports fan and you can tear away from the World Cup for just a moment, there is a sort of an international matchup here between the New York Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays. That will commence Tuesday night and will go on Wednesday night and Thursday night, so if you're so inclined, there's another opportunity for you. Now, just a couple of administrative things that I've been asked to stress to you. You must have your badges on. You must have the badges when you go to the concurrent sessions or the plenary sessions, the meals, all that stuff. So if you haven't gotten your badge yet, please see to it that you do. The Kim's Bay Suite on the 3rd floor. It's where the headquarters of the staff is, and they will get you your badge if you don't have it yet, you must have it. You must also have your tickets when you go to luncheons and other events that call for the tickets. There will be people at the door to make sure that you have them. If it's a matter of entry, if it's a matter of drinks, then the people who are serving the drinks. So tickets, badges, and finally programs. If you don't have a program yet, please avail yourself of one. You can do it in the hard copy version. The staff is there in the Kips Bay Suite to make them available to you, or it can be done through a mobile application. You just go to the USAE site and to the conference, and you can go to the mobile app. And that will show you the map of this conference. And it's very important for you to at least take a look at that, because some of the events are being held in adjacent facilities. Why are some of the events being held in adjacent facilities? Because so many of you signed up to come to this conference. It just sort of overran the ability of just one facility, our facility, to the one here, to handle it. So you will see that there is a ballroom that is adjacent, and that is where the meals are going to be held. And there's a little map in the program that shows you how to get there. And even a few of the concurrent sessions are going to be held across the street in the Lowe's Theater. So it seems like the right kind of thing, right, for economists to present in. And so you need to know how to do that. It takes a few minutes to get to the Lowe's Theater, almost no time to get next door. But to go to the Lowe's Theater, you have to allow yourself a few extra minutes. So be sure to do that. Now, the concurrent sessions, the presiders are being asked to stay with the order of the program so that it'll be predictable who will be presenting when. And the idea there is to give you an opportunity to move from concurrent session to concurrent session to hear the papers that you're most interested in. So we will try to impose some discipline on that process so that you have some pretty good notion of when people will be presenting, and you will be able to hear everybody. Again, our staff is available to help you if need be. They are in the Kips Bay Suite on the 3rd floor. Please avail yourself if you need to. If you lose your program or something like that, there's an opportunity there if you need to take advantage. So that is all that I'm offering in the way of opening remarks. Again, my welcome to you to New York City, and so happy that so many of you have come. I now would like to introduce the head of our International Association for Energy Economics, Wumi Military. I've known Wumi for many years. He was at one time the president of the U.S. affiliate, but he's moved on to bigger and better things. Wumi is located in Nigeria most of the time, but also still has ties to Louisiana State University and the United States. Wumi, the microphone is yours.
Good morning and welcome to New York, and also welcome to the 37th International Association meeting. I want to first thank the United States Association for Energy Economics and President McCain for bailing us out, because this conference was supposed to have been held somewhere else, and then in the last minute they invited us here. And look at us, we actually broke all the records. So please give him a round of applause. It is also a pleasure to express appreciation to all our sponsors. Without them, we couldn't have done anything like this. So we also thank you. I also would like to acknowledge my predecessors. Please, if you don't mind, since if you are former IAEE president, please stand up. Thank you again for coming. If you are former IAEE council members, please stand up. Please don't. Former IAEE Please sit down. I said this because most of these people knew me when I was a student here. They supported me, and it's really a pleasure that they called upon me to be president this year, and I've enjoyed it. I also would like to thank the EMS, the William Senior and the William Junior, for what you've done for IAEE over this past year. Without them, I really do not think we'll get to where we are. So Dave, thank you. Let's applaud them. No, it's a pleasure to be in New York. I know my wife is not here. I think she's probably resting, but we also like to appreciate her in absentia. And finally, I want to appreciate my Nigerian delegates. Please get up if you are from Nigeria. Please, get up. Your time, but I just thought I needed to find a way to relax myself, because I remember very well when it was difficult to find somebody of my color here. And so to have about 12 Nigerians follow me from Nigeria to come to this meeting is very appreciative. So thank you for coming. I appreciate all of you. IAEE is an international association, and I want to thank the founding fathers. And like I said in the council meeting yesterday, just like what the Bible says, God is able to do exceedingly abundantly more than you can ever ask, think, or imagine. And that's what IAEE has become. It used to be concentrated here in North America. Now we have about 28 athletes. We had a meeting this morning, about 17 of them showed up, and they gave good report. And I was looking at my record, and about 2010, we only 3,600 members. Today we have close to 5,000. We are not at 5,000 mark yet, but I know we're going to get there. So I want to appreciate all the athlete leaders for what they've done, the way they're trying to promote IAEE. In fact, there's no better time for this organization to rise up and promote the energy profession, because access to energy has become so much more important than ever before, even in the United States. And that's why you see the clamor, even for shale development and for shale gas and shale oil. And if you go to China, you see the Chinese are all over the place now looking for oil, because the economy has gone beyond their expectation. And it's going to be our responsibility as energy professionals to explain the choices that we have, and just recommend. The politicians will have to decide, but it's the responsibility of the energy professionals to give them the choices, the cost. The paradox of energy access and climate change economics is very important, and it's only us as energy professionals who could really address it and give the politician the type of choices that they have. And that is the essence for this type of conferences all over the world. And I want to continue to encourage you. I've enjoyed being part of you for this many years, and I really still look forward to being part of you. Let me quickly say that the association is looking forward to be dynamic and to move along the energy landscape. And so at the meeting yesterday, we looked at certain strategy that we need to develop. We had 4 of them that we want to pay attention to between 2015 and 2017, beginning with first and foremost, the membership. We have about 4 strategies that we want to bring to your attention. They are not approved yet, but we are still debating them. And if you have ideas, you are welcome to give them to us. First of all, we're trying to look at our membership, and the president-elect, Peter Hartley, has done a great job with the team. One, we want to grow IAEE membership in new regions. So I'm determined, for example, to grow it in West Africa, and I look forward to getting some of you to be involved in our efforts. We also want to grow institutional and individual industry and government membership. The interaction between government, industry, and academia has been the hallmark of this association. We have about 1/3 academia, 1/3 businesses, and 1/3 government members. So we want to continue to maintain that interaction. We also want to keep our effort to keep our members. We want to retain more than 80% every year. We don't want a situation in which we come to this meeting, we become member of this association, and next year we disappear. So we're developing tactics to be able to do that. We're also looking at the possibility of improving our communication. The only way we can make ourselves more visible is to make sure we have good interaction between the press, the government, and the policy makers. And we have certain tactics that we want to look into. And if you have ideas as to how we can do this, please contact our president-elect. And then we want to continue to make our conferences very relevant. I mean, we listened to so many of you during the AFLIC meeting today, and we see that we do quite a lot to make sure that you are involved. Saudi Arabia is doing their best, and Germany is developing students. So we want to be able to make sure that our conferences are relevant and current with respect to the energy situation. And also we're thinking in terms of our publication. The Energy Journal is one of the highest ranking energy professional journals in the world. We want to encourage you as members to continue to be good contributors. And again, we do not want to do self-promotion, but at least make sure occasionally when you write the paper in the Energy Journal, you cite it as well. And of course, finally, we're thinking in terms of developing energy education to the extent that it's relevant to our different countries. There's one thing I like about us is that we are diverse. And then in that case, we can bring one another to encourage the type of thing that we promote. Well, I want to welcome you again. And I thought before I sit down, I don't want to take much of your time. I want to give you a perspective on the global implications of what we see going on in the United States. And I want to base it on three premises. One, and we all agree, the easy-to-find oil and gas conventional resources are declining, and a new energy landscape is emerging, whether we like it or not. In fact, we are looking, not because of the Congress of the United States. Sooner than later, the US will become exporter of oil and natural gas. But again, the world energy needs are rising, especially in the emerging economy. Take, for example, Nigeria. I personally look forward to sooner than later when Nigeria will not have to export its oil. In fact, I believe the Nigerian government should begin to look at policies to revive as many of its natural resources locally so as to grow its economy. And I see that even Saudi Arabia, sooner than later, will need more of their energy for their own economic development. And so certainly the landscape is changing, and it is our responsibility as energy professionals to begin to equip ourselves to be the type of advisors that we are supposed to be. We don't make decisions, we just advise those who make it. And of course the world, in my opinion, is not running out of petroleum resources. In fact, evidences are there that the world is actually looking, they are running into oil more than before. And to my peak oil friends, visit the website of peak oil and see where they still exist. But there's nothing wrong. Oil is expected to decline because reservoirs cannot maintain pressure forever. However, technology has made it a lot easier for us to not only produce oil better, but to even discover more. So I welcome the new debate. Even as we do it, there are macroeconomic issues. If the US could just continue to pursue self-sufficiency, I want to submit to you that the economic surplus that is available to some of these countries producing oil will no longer be there, and they will have not the type of money they used to have to buy the type of technology that the US is developing. So all of this require our input to educate. And that is the essence of this conference. And I do believe you'll be well educated, you'll be well informed, and you'll be in a better position by the time you leave here to be a good advisor on how to manage the emerging energy crisis worldwide. Thank you very much for coming. Enjoy New York. Don't go without spending some money so that the economy can grow better. God bless you and welcome to New York.
come to the meat of our presentations this morning. We're going to invite our speakers, Adam, and Eric, and David, to join us here. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. There is one other thing that we must attend to before we get to that. As you all know, one of the giants in energy passed away recently, Maury Edelman, and Paul is here, Paul Joskow is here, I think, to say a few words perhaps, and then to observe a moment of silence in Maury's memory.
Thank you, and welcome to New York. I'm sure you'll have no trouble spending money here. It's an honor for me to have been asked to take this opportunity to remember Maury Edelman, who died on May 8th at the age of 96. Of course, all of you who knew Maury called him Maury, and you could actually tell if someone didn't really know him because his given name was Morris. Someone called him Morris and knew he didn't know him. Maury was born in 1917 here in New York City. He went to City College, like many fine students did during that era. He received his PhD in economics from Harvard in 1948 and joined the faculty of the emerging MIT Department of Economics in that year. His PhD thesis won the Wells Prize at Harvard for the best PhD thesis in economics that year. He was an active member of the MIT Economics Department for 40 years, teaching industrial organization and doing research on antitrust policy and on world oil markets. As a professor emeritus at MIT, Maury continued his research and commentaries on world oil markets well into his late 80s. Maury was one of the founders of this association. In the late 1970s, the association began as an unincorporated set of regional clubs and was formally incorporated in 1980. He was also one of the founders of the MIT Center for Energy Policy Research, now the MIT Center for Energy and Environmental Policy Research. Maury is best known for his pioneering market-based research on world oil markets. His proposals to undermine the power of OPEC during the 1970s and his critiques of proponents of peak oil and related arguments that the world was soon to run out of oil. And MIT was a good place to be a critic because it was also the home of the analysis underlying the Club of Rome's work that suggested we were running out of everything. The large multinational oil companies were not a great fan of Maury's ideas about OPEC during the 1970s. Indeed, Mobil Oil ran a paid advertisement on the op-ed page of the New York Times criticizing Maury's proposals for reducing OPEC's market power. However, over time, many oil companies came to respect his analysis and so his insights, even as they often did not agree with him. And well into his 80s, people from oil companies, energy companies around the world, when they came to MIT, would ask to be able to see and talk to Maury. Maury took special joy in responding to the proponents of the view that the world would soon run out of oil, the peak oil nuts. He did not suffer fools gladly, and on this topic there were, and are, no shortage of fools. I don't know whether Maury followed the recent developments in the production of oil and gas from deep shale deposits, but the history of the development and growing production from these supply sources are completely aligned with his views on petroleum supply opportunities, and in particular, his emphasis on the role of new technologies and technological innovations. While Maury was best known for his work on world oil markets, he was also a major contributor to post-World War II scholarship on antitrust policy, beginning with his PhD thesis. Indeed, 4 of his top 6 Google Scholar citations are for papers related to antitrust policy. His work on the AMP case and his work on vertical integration were both pioneering and at that time quite controversial. Like many of the first generation of faculty in the MIT Economics Department, Maury was extraordinarily well educated and very well read. He had broad interests in many different areas beyond economics. He was a true intellectual. When I came to MIT in 1972, we all had lunch together every day at a big round table in the faculty club upstairs from where the department was at that time. Listening to Samuelson, Solo, Bishop, Kindleberger, Domar, and Edelman bat the ball back and forth on almost any topic was a little like sitting at court level at a professional tennis match. The ball moved so fast that it was impossible for the second generation of MIT economics faculty to get a word in edgewise, assuming we had anything to say on any of these topics. Maury leaves his daughter Barbara, many former students and colleagues who appreciated his mentorship, his wit, and his friendship. They don't make him like Maury these days, and we're all going to miss him. And perhaps we could just have a moment of silence in Maury's memory. Sit up. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And indeed, Morris Edelman was a really intellectual giant, and personally someone that, though I didn't know him well, I found it extremely engaging and interesting and a fun guy to talk to and to meet. Alan and the other speakers, please come up. Let me mention a couple of things as they come to the stage. We have signed up approximately 150 new members for IAEE via this conference, so this is a nice addition to the membership, and hopefully we will retain. We are certainly working to retain more and more of the new members that we sign up. We are hoping that you will fill out the conference evaluation form. It is online. The links are shown there. Anytime you go into one of the rooms on the screen, you should be able to pick up the link, or the mobile application also has the link. So if you are following things via your smartphone or whatever, you should be able to get to it that way. I'm also reminded in the opening remarks that Wumi made of the very, very crucial role that our sponsors play for both IAEE and USAEE. Without them, a conference like this is simply not possible, and we just deeply appreciate and are very grateful to all of our sponsors and for their contributions, and hope that they realize that it makes the conference possible, and also a lot of the other programs that go on year-round, sponsored by USAEE and IAEE, to further the education of energy economics and try to advance the science a little bit in that field, and some findings will give some help in making better decisions worldwide. So again, our gratitude to our sponsors, and so we thank you so much for the support you give us. Now, we move to the program of this session, which features Adam Szymanski, the Administrator of the Energy Information Administration in the United States, on international implications of U.S. energy renaissance, with a couple of commentators. So there is something of a description in the extended program, but let me give you a quick background on these folks so you have some feel for where they're coming from. So Adam Szymanski, now the administrator of the EIA, has been a member of the National Security Council, and he was appointed to the National Petroleum Council here in the United States. For many years before that, he was a leading analyst at Deutsche Bank and predecessor organizations that sort of folded into Deutsche Bank or became Deutsche Bank at one time or another. I've known Adam for a long time because he is from the Washington, D.C. area where I am, and so I realized that he, as a speaker, held the all-time record for attendance at our local chapter meeting for perhaps a decade or so, and it was only really broken because we eventually had to move to a larger facility and pull all the folks, and so people started to attract more. If it hadn't been for that, probably Adam would still hold it. He's a good friend to many people. He's approachable. He's curious in the sense of always looking for new things to learn about. He's a substantive person, and at the same time a delight to know and to be around. We are going to hear from two discussants, David Hobbs, who will give us a Southwest Asian or Middle Eastern perspective. David, I would characterize as a strategist, business leader, and researcher. He is the head of research now at the King Abdullah Petroleum Studies and Research Center, or CAPSARC for short. He was, before that, chief energy strategist and head of research at IHS CERA, C-E-R-A. It's a very well-known firm here in the United States that specializes in energy, among other things. A global energy project leader and directed energy projects in just about anywhere or everywhere in the world. And he's an adjunct professor at the University of Calgary, and he produced a report on the world economic crisis for a ministerial meeting held in London a few years ago. And you know, if we had a lot of time, it would be fun to probe David for what did he have to say about the world energy crisis and how to solve it, since we're still sort of struggling to undo all the damage. We have a second speaker, commentator, Eric Weirness, who will provide something of a European perspective to us. Eric is characterized as a man of wide-ranging career and interest. Vice President and Chief Economist at Statoil. He has also worked for Total, the E&P part in Norway. He has been in the Norwegian Ministry of Finance. He was with Poiré Management Consulting on the Commission on Tax Reform in Norway. It's a good one for the United States. And a member of the Executive Board of the Central Bank of Norway. So again, a very broad range of interests. We could probably productively spend time with him on some topics that are outside of energy, but today we will focus on energy. So we will take the speakers in order, Adam and then David and then Eric, and they will simply follow one another. Adam, the stage is yours.
Mike, thank you very much for the kind invitation. Wumi, thank you for your remarks. And, Dave Williams Jr. and Sr., who have done a fantastic job of organizing these events for so many years, deserve a lot of credit. I'm thrilled that EIA has been able to renew our sponsorship of this meeting again. Mike mentioned how important these sponsorships are for keeping the organization healthy. I think of the IAEE and the USAEE and all of the affiliates actually as kind of a bit like EIA in the sense that they're independent and they're nonpartisan, and they provide a tremendous service, I think, not just for the members but for the public. And policymakers who read the papers that you write and benefit from your depth of knowledge of the energy area. It's a fantastic thing, and I've seen a lot of organizations come and then fall apart over the years, and this one seems to have lasting power, and that's a good thing. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about the oil and natural gas outlook in the United States. And as Mike mentioned, David will cover Asia and the Middle East, and Eric will talk about a European perspective on what's happening here in the U.S. On this issue. Let's go through this. I'm sure you've seen these slides. I try to keep this up to date. This is production from shale, both oil on the left-hand side, natural gas on the right-hand side in the U.S. Over 3.5 million barrels a day of oil now. And you look back, and just 10 years ago, that number was closer to 500,000 barrels a day or below. So a huge increase, continuing to move up. On the right-hand side, natural gas. Shale gas production in the U.S. at almost 35 billion cubic feet a day is just about half of total U.S. natural gas production. That phenomenon, too, is something that's happened in the last decade. This truly is an enormous change in thinking. of what's going on. I really think that there were very few, you know, and a lot of times you hear people say, I predicted that. When it's some unusual change. I think if you go back 10 or 15 years ago, you won't find very many people at all who predicted this. The U.S., just as a fact point, if you add oil and gas together, is now one of the world's largest, if not the largest. We're approaching Saudi Arabia and Russia in terms of oil production. And if you add total liquids and then throw natural gas in, the U.S. is the world's largest energy oil and gas producer. Now let's talk a little bit about oil, and then I'll move on to natural gas. On the oil side, EIA is currently forecasting that U.S. crude oil production will rise to almost 10 million barrels a day sometime around 2017. We're at about 8.5 million barrels a day right now. It's growing very rapidly. There are other forecasts that are much more optimistic than this one. We're still a little concerned about what the geology looks like for crude oil production. Technology is moving very rapidly, and as technology moves, these numbers could grow. But that number is extraordinary. If you just take a quick look at the demand side in the U.S., it's very interesting. It's not growing very much. Petroleum demand over the next 20 years, if anything, is likely to be flat or down. Motor gasoline production is shrinking as driving behavior changes and light-duty vehicles become more efficient. And although we're expecting increases in things like jet fuel and diesel fuel, the drop in motor gasoline is likely to keep overall petroleum consumption pretty flat in the United States. So that has allowed for a number of interesting developments. First of all, with rising domestic crude oil production and increasing refinery utilization and the rules on product exports being fairly liberal, the U.S. has become a net exporter of petroleum products. There is something like 2 million barrels a day of gasoline, diesel fuel, and other petroleum products being exported. Diesel to Europe, gasoline to Latin America, and I suspect some of the both lighter and heavier products going to Asia. It might not stop there. There is a possibility under a high resource case for supply of petroleum that rather than peaking somewhere near 10 million barrels a day, you'll see that number gets closer to 15 in the base case. Let me just say that this is, because we're looking at this from a consumption standpoint, you have to take 10 million barrels a day of crude oil, add 2 to 3 million barrels a day of natural gas liquids, 1 million barrels a day of biofuels, and another 1 million barrels a day of refinery gain, and you're going to get a number that's closer to 15 million barrels a day of liquid fuels in the U.S. from domestic sources. If crude oil production in the high resource case continues to grow, it is not out of the question that the U.S. could become a net exporter of all petroleum. So crude oil exports in addition to product exports. Now, crude oil exports other than to Canada and a few other minor exceptions are really not possible under current law and regulation. But policymakers are reviewing that right now, and EIA is in fact looking at some of the options and questions surrounding crude oil exports. Let's look at shale gas now for just a second. Shale gas, here we actually do not see the same level of potential resource constraint that we see currently in the oil area. Shale gas production continues to grow over the entire long-term forecast that EIA makes out to the year 2040, growing from a total gas production of about 70 billion cubic feet a day now to over 100 billion cubic feet a day in 2040. Where is all of that gas going to go? A great deal of it will go into electric power. Depending on how the EPA rule works out, even more than you see in this reference case is possible going into electric power. Big increase in industrial production, and even the possibility of gas going into transportation in a stronger way than is currently occurring. Let's take a little bit closer look at the industrial use of natural gas. One of the biggest beneficiaries of gas production in the U.S. is actually the refining industry in the U.S., which is getting a fuel to power refineries at attractive prices, and we see that continuing to occur. The bulk chemicals industry, metal smelting, iron and steel, paper, but even the food processing industry will be an increasing beneficiary of the growth in natural gas production in the U.S. So kind of across the U.S. economy in a very strong way. I mentioned gas being used in transportation. That big growth that you see in light blue at the top is the possibility that liquefied natural gas or compressed gas. Right now we're leaning more towards LNG, but I've talked to plenty of people who think that the technology of compressed gas is improving as well. But gas being used in long-haul trucking, we're already seeing experimentation going on this year in a number of the railroad companies for use of LNG in rail transportation. Overall picture for gas, consumption rising pretty rapidly, but domestic supply outpacing consumption, leaving quite a bit of opportunity for net exports of natural gas. Where are the net exports of gas going now, and where might they go? The U.S. is a big exporter of natural gas by pipeline to Mexico, and we see that continuing to grow. The U.S. Both imports and exports natural gas from Canada. Currently, we're importing more from Canada than we're exporting, but we see the possibility of Marcellus gas, for example, going up into parts of Ontario, maybe even going to the Maritimes. There are under consideration the possibility of LNG export facilities in the Maritimes, Canada, that would take advantage of U.S. natural gas. The whole picture of natural gas in the Americas is changing pretty rapidly. This started off as kind of basically being the Americas would be importers of natural gas. It wasn't that long ago that people were building import facilities in the U.S. under the assumption that a lot of natural gas in the form of LNG would be coming into the U.S. But now we're seeing the growth in liquefaction capacity across the good part of the United States, proposals in Canada, as well as down in Latin America. This could be a substantial business in the Americas and part of the overall growth in energy across the Americas. Shale oil and gas is a global phenomenon as well as one in the U.S. There will be a lot of issues associated with both the geology overseas as well as the above ground sort of government structure, industry structure, tax rules, who owns the resources and so on. That could slow development overseas, but the resource base seems to be pretty strong. EIA did take a look at oil and gas shale resources on a global basis. On the gas side, which you see on the left there, China, Argentina, Algeria, the U.S.